We have with us Dr. Anand Teltumbde, very renowned public intellectual, who's been going through a particular kind of hell in the last few months, ever since August 22nd, 2018. Dr. Teltumbde, thank you so much for this conversation. To begin with, from August 22nd, 2018, right up to now, this entire canards are being built up about the case against you. I have a legal question. Have you ever been asked once to come and give any statement before the police?
Yeah. It actually began on 28th. They claim that my name was inserted on 21st in the remand note, but I came to know of this on 28th August. Now, by hindsight, I think I have to say it fortunately, we had been to Bombay. My wife had come before a few days, and then just previous night I also came to Bombay for some institutional meetings. So it was quite late, and early morning I saw a missed call from the director. So I called him back, and he said that Pune cops have come and raided the campus and they are looking for you. I had a sigh of relief because we were not there. So I was under impression that they would not open the house, etc., and may go back. So I had a meeting and I rushed for the meeting in Bharat Petroleum and kept my phone on silent. And by the time meeting was over and I switched on phone, there were spate missed calls from everywhere, but many of them from my wife. So I just called her back, and she said that everything is coming on TV, our house is open. I was shocked. In our absence, the house was open. Then I called up director, because earlier he said that I am rushing to the campus because it stays outside and I would take care, don't worry and all. So I was reassured, okay, nothing would happen, because in your innocence you expect that without you being there they would not open the house. But it all happened. Then I went to Mihir's office, told him all that, and Mihir advised that no, one of you have to go back to Goa. She had already booked the tickets. I said, don't panic, I have some work, so now you go. So she took a next available flight and went back picked up a lawyer friend on the way and went to her house. They checked up the things. It did not appear that anything was disturbed as such, okay. But still, they went to Bicholim police station and lodged a complaint that such and such thing happened. These are our numbers. If police have anything to do, they could ask us. Since then, up till now, there has been no movement. They have never inquired about anything. What happened? I was wondering as to this way, okay, I have been critical of the government, and I did know that they picked up, they developed the story around Elgar Parishad. So I did know that this mischief is being developed in, okay, but it was beyond my imagination that they could reach up to me, they could rope me in. So rather I kept writing about rest of the people for June arrestee, then August of course I was included. So this all happened. There was a press conference conducted by Parambir Singh, Additional Director General of Police in Pune. They used to hold a press conferences, those in violation of Bombay High Court directive rather, and wherein he rather read out a letter that related in a Paris conference, okay, supposedly addressed to me by someone who is purportedly Maoist. That the letter effectively said that, okay, that we have arranged for your meeting in Paris, okay, and Comrade ATN Balibar also has agreed to interview you. Comrade Shailaja Paik and Comrade Anupama Rao also have been arranged with, that they would call you for guest lectures in their universities. Now, that Comrade Anand, the story is woven, okay, from the public information which was floating around on the website of the university. This is the university, the American University of Paris, right? So, even a third class university in India, somewhere in remote place, also would not have such kind of deals. For an academic conference, if you say, even if you go and approach or sort of lobby around that, oh, you please call him, that is not possible. But this is the kind of level they stoop to. A.T.N. Balibar, just to name, probably he is the greatest living Marxist scholar today, because others have died. When we were in college, the first of the writings, etc., used to come and they look so big. So, the later assumed that A.T.N. Balibar is some journalist and I am the great man that he would interview me. Shailja Paik is a professor, both are well known, Anupama Rao, the professors respectively in Cincinnati University and Barnard College, New York. And they also, Maoists have arranged with them, they were also saleable that they would call me for their university. As a matter of fact, Shailja and Anupama's university has never called me and all that. Assumptions are very hilarious that this Paris visit, etc., is unusual to me. I used to visit almost half a dozen times when for probably 20-30 years when I was a corporate head in India. So, and these days, you know, that I get so many invitations that not even 10% I can accept. So, that apart. Now, I thought, again in my innocence perhaps, that this is, I had an ammunition because I sent that letter, I got it from journalist friend and sent it across to university. Lisa Lincoln, Professor Lisa Lincoln, who was the main organizer of that conference, and A.T.N. Balibar and both these fellows, Paik and Anupama Rao. Now, they were aghast at this kind of fabrication, and Lisa Lincoln wrote me back and she forwarded the letter to provost complaining that such and such is happening by the police in India. A.T.N. Balibar was very angry. He wrote angrily to me, meaning in my support of course, and complained to French embassy in India.
What has it been like, Dr. Teltumbde? I mean, the ridiculousness of the merits of their quote-unquote merits of the charge sheet, of course, you have laid out. But I'm talking about procedure now, and I asked you the question that normally if anybody was quote-unquote suspect, the police should have at least asked you.
Absolutely.
For questioning, and you've not been asked once for questioning.
Absolutely. We volunteered. My wife's letter is on record and it repeatedly has been attached to the petitions for that we made to the court for quashing the FIR. So, it is explicit that we have volunteered that if police has anything against us, they could call us. Okay.
So, the idea seems to be to generate a kind of terror and fear tactic and just target intellectuals who might be critical of establishment and to send political messages.
That is absolutely, that's now became open, you know. They are not interested in investigation because this UAPA provisions are such that you can just use them and create that kind of fog in a judge's mind, and they can keep on giving that kind of judgment because there is no provision, explicit provision for bail. So, you catch a person, put him in a police custody and harass to the extent possible, they get long PCRs, etc. This is their modus operandi, and then same to this thing. Okay, whatever you have to say, you say in trial court. Now, historically speaking, if you verify the data, all these UAPA cases on an average land up something like 5-6 years incarceration in jail, and thereafter they ended in acquittals. Okay, so this is the story. So, the courts are not sensitive to this, that where process itself is a punishment, the court should be sensitive to these kinds of facts, but court take a blind view, and that's all. I thought that my case, if it lands up in the court, there would be havoc because the entire construction would fall flat. Incontrovertibly actually proves that it is a fabrication, that letter itself, one letter is enough, that everything is fabrication. Probably that does not work in criminal law like that, but nonetheless that was my assumption, and it might help others also, because that even if it does not help a work like that in criminal law, the people would be looking at it, what level of fabrication it is. Okay, but no, now I am pushed to the wall, instead I am pushed to the wall. Actually speaking, I wanted to prosecute Parambir Singh criminally as well as in civil, whatever way. I wanted to prosecute and given a letter to Maharashtra government for permission, because I think procedurally you have to seek permission for prosecuting these kinds of fellows. There is no reply to that letter. There is no permission is not forthcoming where we could go. But now, in meanwhile, my lawyers just cautioned me, don't be under fool's paradise. You stand as an accused, so we have to quash that petition. And this way, I went to court and landed up in this suit.
You've got tremendous support from your institutions, the alumni, IIT, IIM, students, faculty have written in your support from different institutions. Even internationally, there's been a huge uproar over the way that you have been targeted, and others have been targeted in this case. Now we're talking about you. But it seems as if the establishment is just not listening to any of this. How hopeful are you just now?
You see, when my petition was rejected by Supreme Court, then I got alarmed, because now there is no recourse than seeking something like I have got 4 weeks to save myself and beg for bail. Beyond that, there was nothing left. So in that desperation, and so I wrote a note explaining everything, making it public, and that created, because not many people actually, right from the raid, just after my raid, the next day there were demonstrations by surprisingly Harvard and MIT students. Okay, they do relate with me some way, and so I was known in those campuses. So yeah, so actually that was quite elating that at the distance and this elite kind of campuses, students demonstrated. My IIT students, of course, demonstrated next day, that was 30th. And there were Jadavpur University, etc. Just after my raid itself, there were huge many demonstrations in campuses in various kinds of proportions. But after this, my letter, it created outrage all over the globe. There have been demonstrations, there have been protest meetings, there have been press meets everywhere. A signature campaign was started, multiple campaigns. Probably, so all those kinds of things have happened, not in expectation, because Indian state was never sensitive to such things. It had happened earlier also. It's okay that probably the scale at which this time, in my case, the protests happened are unprecedented, even probably exceeded Vinayak's sense. So that might, but it's not hoped of Indian state, it's not. So I don't know. So this may be this could be something like an awareness among the people that this is what is happening, and they should learn about. It's not my case. It's not me. I am being used as a proxy. The message is all across that behave or else kind of thing. You should not be thinking, all fascist regimes have behaved like that in past. So it's not that people do not know. Because it happens just around you, it is taken as business as usual, but it is not. So probably that works at that level, but it doesn't have a direct impact. I was aware when I was writing that note, and I'm still aware painfully.
So what has been the reaction of the mainstream media? Because one of the features of this regime of the last 4.5 years has been a completely supplicant mainstream, what we call quote unquote corporatized mainstream media. In your experience of the last 5, 6 months, how has the mainstream media been?
Surprisingly, individually, most editors, etc., have phoned me and they express support, and that they are. So that was again another surprise. But mainstream media, there has been a muted voice. They have published. Probably all people have published something or the other. But the online papers have been very, very supportive. So whatever that has come, and actually they never hesitated. They have not taken even 5 minutes to put it onto the web. So that has been a good support.
I think the next step has to be, you're also secretary of the CPDR, and CPDR has been the forefront of several civil rights campaigns. That this entire business of having draconian laws, whether it is UAPA, whether it is Chhattisgarh Public Security Act, whether it is a National Security Act, whether it is 124A, which is the sedition law under criminal law itself. I think the eventual citizens campaign has to be for the repealment of such laws.
Yeah, that I don't know why there has not been there are enough sane people, and why this law still exists on the statutes. It's a unfortunate thing, that sedition law like thing we inherited from the colonial time. Rather, everything was inherited from colonial times. Nothing had changed during transfer of power. But at least Mahatma Gandhi like person, who called the sedition law as a prince among the draconian laws, should have gone. Nehru spoke aloud against it, and still being Prime Minister for many years, he retained that law. And there is a history of that. I keep on speaking about, it's replete in my Republic of Caste also, the way post-colonial state was constituted. Probably the first kind of consistent critic, I would say. So all this happened, but I think not enough has been done to repeal this law. Not enough has been spoken against this UAPA, because this law itself is unlawful. It calls something like unlawful activity, but this law itself is unlawful. It doesn't stand the test of constitutional spirit. So it does not have any business to stay, and it has taken toll of many lives. It has destroyed many lives, and should not be there, because it becomes absolutely impossible if an individual, for any rhyme or reason. Take my case, for instance, nothing is recorded from me. Somebody writes to somebody in which your name occurs. What is the logic of it? And they construct the stories, just out of such kinds of things. And the entire procedure could be faulted, not that most people who actually could be taken as experts, they have trashed these letters, that such essay like letters, etc., are not written by something like underground organizations, etc. And there are many layers of falsehood, layers of kind of
even the manner in which the quote-unquote raid was conducted, completely breaking law and procedure.
Absolutely, that's what I refer to as layers of things. Like the confiscation of electronic goods, that cannot be done that way. Then whatever that is produced, the letters, could be the attachment of email. They do not talk about emails. It is something like a freshly written letters that are obtained. Whether they are hard copy, then it could be scanned, but they are not scanned. Okay, so all these kinds of things. Now their argument would be that it would be seen in a trial, but by the time the trial takes place, it is 4-5 years. So
the freedom of liberty, freedom of dignity is completely.
Absolutely, that constitution gets trampled, and courts do not, but unfortunately, courts do not take cognizance of these reality.
Thank you, Dr. Teltumbde. If there's anything else you would like to say, we are, one of the portals that has been standing behind you, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you. As far as I am concerned, we are really at our wits' end. My life has really, I never imagined that I would be so miserable, because I never waste a single minute. I stay awake, keep writing. So it's all gone. This time I have not gone back also to go say to the students that there is no use, because I can't concentrate.
Thank you, Dr. Testa.
Thank you.